So I'm going to resign from my corporate job today with no backup plan. I'm super nervous. I have my first call in about an hour, and I'm doing this from home because I'd rather cry at home than cry in the office. But this is something I've been thinking about for a long time, and I've gone back and forth about it, knowing it's not like the smartest move, but also like knowing I can't do another busy season there. There's a lot of other factors that I could go into in another video, but I think this is just the best decision for myself right now. I've come to the fact that nothing changes if nothing changes. So this is me taking the first step to figure out what career is meant for me or what will really make me happy, because right now sitting at my desk working more than just a 9 to 5 is not making me happy and is not satisfying or like fulfilling my life, and I feel like I'm meant to do something else. But if I'm not, that's fine, and thankfully I'll be able to come right back to where I am. I'm probably gonna break down and cry or shit myself or like throw up, but yeah. And I know a lot of people are being laid off right now and the market is really hard, so I'm not trying to discredit any of that. I just feel like this will push me to do the next best thing. But yeah, please let me know if you're on the same boat. And yeah, let's just figure it out together and follow along to see where this new chapter in my life takes me. And yeah, wish me luck. Ugh, I'm so scared.
I quit my job without a backup plan. I've had a corporate job. I've been working for this company for about 3 years. They paid very well, and I just quit it, and I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to be doing next. So this job was making me feel absolutely miserable every day. I felt like I was losing myself just day after day, feeling just the word is miserable. And at the end, I felt defeated. Every Sunday before Monday would come, because I worked Monday through Friday, every Sunday the anxiety would start building because I knew the next day I had to go to work. I started having nightmares about work. During my work hours, I just wanted to leave. As soon as I clocked in, I just wanted to be out of there. And my mood, horrible. I was just so miserable. I couldn't stand being on the clock, and I was like a complete different person while working. And as soon as I clocked out, the first couple of hours after working, I felt good. But then once I had to go to sleep, that's when it started hitting me again. The next work day is coming. And then it was all over again, day after day after day. Back in October, I took 3 weeks off, a leave of absence for mental health. And I really thought that I was going to lose my sobriety because I just couldn't take it. And even taking 3 weeks off of leave of absence still didn't do it. So the best thing that I could do for myself was to remove myself from this situation. Otherwise, I don't know where I was going to end up. So here I am, no backup plan, but I am certain that I will be successful and that things are going to work out in my favor.
Welcome. And today we're going to be focused on corporate America. So there's a lot of people who work in the corporate world. We know that corporate industry is not easy. It's very stressful and very demanding, and a lot of people are starting to give up. And we're going to be going through a lot of videos just to find out in terms of the different elements that affect people, that lead to people to quit their jobs. Most of them are actually quitting even though they are making more, because what we see most of the time is that people quit because they're not making enough, which in this case, for some of them, it's not the case, at least from what I've been able to gather in terms of these videos that I have. These are people who most of them are actually making enough, but just because of the stress and everything that they're going through, they're deciding that they want to quit. So in terms of the clips that we have seen, I think what you don't need to do is to quit without a backup plan. I think someone always has to have some sort of a backup plan, so that if you go out of the industry and you find that the industry is bad, like right now, especially if you are looking for another job and you didn't even bother to try to upscale whether your skills and you're still looking for the same job, You may find that it's hard. I think what a lot of people have realized is that sometimes it's not about the company, it's just the work structure as a whole, because things have changed now, unlike people who used to work many years ago. So companies have actually started to be more demanding. They actually have more deadlines. So you find that there's a lot of things that you're doing, and all those things are stressful. All those things, they want you to be fully invested. Obviously, if we think of it to a certain degree, you're gonna get burned out.
If you've ever fantasized about quitting your cushy corporate job to do anything, work at Starbucks, work in a restaurant, work on a farm, literally anything else, this video is for you because I am doing that right now. My name's Sam, and I spent about 11 years in corporate climbing the ladder. I was a marketing director making a really good six-figure salary, but I felt so miserable inside despite doing really well at my job. I felt unfulfilled. I loathed going to my desk every day and sitting down and typing shit through a computer and working on stuff that meant nothing to me. And it felt so unnatural. And I remember thinking, I cannot do this for 30, 40 more years. So a year ago, I made some plans to leave corporate for good. I temporarily took a job that I wasn't that excited about, but it paid the bills. And I started planning what I was going to do beyond corporate. I knew that I wanted to help people and start career coaching. So I'm doing that, and I've been doing that for 3 months, and I really like it. But I also knew that I wanted to get a part-time job, not only to supplement that income, but to get out of the house, to do those things I used to daydream about. I wanted to work in a bakery or a restaurant. I love food, I love nutrition, and I'm really lucky to have found such a unique place to work. It's a olive grove, olive mill. They make their own olive oil. Also has a casual dining bistro attached. And I get to be a waitress at times, host olive oil tastings, and do some other random stuff. And let me tell you, it's the first time in a long time that I've actually been excited to go to work. I knew that I was wanting to do something outside of a computer, and it feels so good to like get out in the world, not work at a computer, do shit that like honestly matters a lot more than marketing. Like I'm helping people, I'm interacting with people. It feels so much more natural. Also, outside of corporate, people are so much more real. There's so much more soul. I don't feel that people wear a mask at all. Corporate, sort of the environment forces you to wear a mask because you can shoot the shit with your coworkers, but then you go into these fake ass meetings, you have to pretend that you care, you have to suck up to upper management, and I'm not finding that as much outside of the corporate world. Also, it's so nice to be able to go to work, do a job, come home, and not think about it. I don't have to think about, shit, I still have to get this email out, or I've got to create this PowerPoint deck. Oh my God, I do not miss PowerPoint, you guys. I haven't touched PowerPoint in 6 months, and it's like the best thing ever.
I think this lady has the right blueprint in terms of how to transition. In my eyes, I see this as a transition from one type of job to the next. Because as much as she's not working in corporate, but she is still employed somewhere, even though she does also work for herself. But this is, in my eyes, excellent transition, because this seems like someone who actually had a backup plan, as much as we all have dreams. Because you will hear it a lot from people who quit the corporate world because I want to chase my dreams. I want to be able to work for myself so that I don't work for someone else. I don't want to have deadlines. Yeah, I know it's tough, but we all have dreams. But if you have dreams and you're like this lady and you knew that this is how much I used to earn and I was able to sustain my lifestyle, but I'll be able to work this job and also supplement with this one. And the good thing is that these are jobs that she likes, so it should be things that you like to do. Like you can't leave your corporate world so that you go and be miserable, even worse, somewhere maybe because you are in poverty. Because as much as the work is stressful, but I can tell you, being broke is more stressful. You're gonna think about that job. I can tell you that much. But if you are able to go and transition and still work somewhere and still make reasonable enough money and to be able to live a good life and feel fulfilled, I think that's a good thing. I think that's something that I support, because I don't want to lie, working in in the corporate world, it's not easy because there's always deadlines, and sometimes you'll be falling off to sleep and you just think, wow, I have this other thing that's not done that I need to complete it tomorrow. It's not a nice feeling. I don't want to lie. So yeah, kudos to her to have something that she can do and something that fulfills her. I think this is a positive note in terms of someone transitioning from corporate to go and work on something else.
The first time I quit my corporate job to chase my dreams, I told myself, if it doesn't work, I'll just find another job. And within a few months, I was back in my corporate job. The second time I quit my corporate job to chase my dreams, I told myself, if it doesn't work, I'll just find another job. And within a few months, again, I let fear take over and I was back at my corporate job. The third time I quit my corporate job to chase my dreams, I told myself, I am never coming back. And that was well over a year ago, and I have not looked back since. And the moral of the story is no backup options. You cannot keep giving yourself an out. You have to decide that your dreams are worth the discomfort and the uncertainty, but trust yourself enough to know that you're going to figure.
As a pro and a con, I think what you need to think about, especially if you have kids, is the positive and the negatives. I mean, you can't just decide that you're gonna create a job. How are you gonna feed your kids? Who's gonna pay the rent? There's a lot of things that you need to consider. Yeah, I know she's saying that you need to have dreams and chase your dreams, which I agree with that. I agree with that. In terms of chasing your dreams, how I think I would do in terms of chasing my dreams is that I would dedicate time to my side hustle, whatever that it is, so that I know that after work, I have to dedicate that time. I've been working for a company from 9 to 5, but I need at least 2 hours of my day so that I work for myself, whether I am learning new skills or learning something that will maybe eventually make me money, but I need to dedicate time to myself. That's what I say, having a backup plan, so that if your side hustle eventually, you know that it's gonna make you money and you can see the potential and it's starting maybe to generate money and you can see potentially how much you can make, then you can leave your job. Honestly, I don't believe in this thing of just leaving your job without a backup plan. As much as we're seeing a lot of videos like this lady, she's very lucky that she has quit a job a couple times and still be able to find another job. There are people who quit their job and they don't find another job for a lot of years. And if you don't have a backup plan in terms of how to generate money and be able to sustain yourself, it's going to be a very difficult life. And I wouldn't wish that on anyone. What I can say is that let's plan accordingly. Everything has positives and negatives. Let's see, and also the positives needs to always outweigh the negatives.
If you're miserable at your corporate job and you want to quit, I did it. I did it 2 months ago. I worked corporate 8 to 5, Monday to Friday in an office for 5 years, and I had enough. I drew the line and I quit. I had just about enough of going into an office and looking at a computer screen and doing worthless work and not being appreciated for it and being underpaid and reporting to somebody who didn't give a shit about me and being treated like a child, being denied a PTO request when it's my life. All of it just built up, and I just about had enough. I had enough I was at my breaking point when I wanted out more than I wanted to breathe. The only thing I ever talked about was, I want to quit my job. The 9 to 5 sucks. I cannot do this. And I was serious about it. I told everybody, and everybody's response was the same. It was, what are you going to do about it? There's nothing you can do. That's just life. It is what it is. Welcome to reality. That was what everyone told me. And to me, I looked at everyone like they were crazy. I'm like, you've accepted that this is reality? And I just never could. And I think that me not accepting it is the reason that I'm out and that I'm doing better financially probably than ever. Now that I've been out of my job for 2 months, obviously there's a lot of uncertainty when I quit my job. I was nervous, like anyone would. You're never going to feel ready. I didn't really feel ready, but I knew I had to do it. I had to take the leap. If I'm not going to do it now, when am I going to do it, right? I'm 26 years old. It's like, what am I going to do? Wait till I'm 40 to do it? No. I want to take control now. I want to live my life. I have one life, right? That was kind of the thought I had. I was like, you know what? We only get one shot at this life. And once it's over, it's over. And it's like, am I going to sit here another day and waste my life sitting behind a computer screen doing somebody else's work for them? When I'm super ambitious and I think I have more to give and I have more value to provide, and it never was for me, right? And I guess if you're sitting here watching this thinking, I'd love to quit my job and maybe do what you're doing and work online, I'm here to tell you can, but be smart about it, right? Like, I didn't just cold turkey quit. I had so much pain from my corporate job, but I took that pain and put it into something else. I put it into working to get out, right? I put everything else aside. I put all of my things I love doing aside and just started stacking skills and learning about entrepreneurship and getting better. And then obviously familiar with my story, making money on TikTok Shop, finally had a breakthrough. And now I'm doing social media full time, right? But it's like, it didn't happen overnight. And for you, if you're at square zero, you can't compare yourself to somebody who is making $100,000 a month and you're sitting there thinking, I'd love to be that guy, right? Like, you can't think that. You have to think, what actions can I take right now to get to that point? You have to work backwards. Okay, it's not going to happen overnight, but be smart, plan. If you're in a position to where you're absolutely miserable at your job and you're just depressed, get out of that job and just get a new one, and then get some of your time back, and then work towards that goal to eventually get out of that job. Okay, that's what I did, at least. But what I don't want you to do is just give up and say, yeah, that's reality. Nah, that's just for, so many people do that. And if you do that, then you've already accepted your future. You've accepted that as your reality, and you will not have the future that you feel like you deserve to have. So hopefully somebody needed to hear this today.
This guy is very smart in my eyes, and he's very realistic in terms of his goals and the goals that he wants people to set. Because what's my takeaway in terms of what he said? My takeaway is that there's always another option to your predicament. If you don't like your job, apply for another job. Yes, you might be incorporate. You may find that the other one, the problem was that you were being micromanaged and had someone breathing down your neck. You find that in the other company may be a bit better. Some companies actually have cameras where they are monitoring people to make sure that you're working. Honestly, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. It just sounds horrible. But on a serious note is that what you need to do is to upscale your skill. I think that's the best thing you can ever do for yourself. Dedicating time to upscale a skill and learning a skill so that you have a way out. Because I think what we know as men is that no one is coming to save us. That's something that you should know. I think everyone actually, that's something that you should know, is that no one is coming to save you. Unless if you have a trust fund somewhere or you win the lotto, then that's a different story. But other people, what you need to know is that you need to do something different in order to improve your life. And I agree that we all have one life and we need to do something that we're passionate about. For me, my passion has always been content creation. For example, I've been unemployed before. When COVID-19 started, I was just after finishing varsity. So I did undergraduate, got my degree, then I did postgraduate because I couldn't get a job. Then I finished postgraduate. I still didn't get a job. I got an interview. I passed everything. Then COVID-19 happened and they canceled everything. For a whole year, I was unemployed. So I know what it feels to be unemployed. And that's when I realized that, you know what, I can actually try to do this content creation thing. Obviously, over the years, I have never been serious. I've been giving myself excuses that I don't have I don't have any equipment, or I don't have time, or whatever. But at the end of the day, in terms of the message, is that just learn something. But whatever you are learning, be as realistic as possible in terms of how you're going to achieve that goal. And just put in one day at a time and know that eventually you'll be able to achieve your goal. And sometimes be realistic that sometimes some goals cannot be achieved. That happens. You can try. It doesn't mean that you would always
Do you really want to spend 8 hours every single day of the next 365 days hating what you do? That is the exact question I asked myself in 2020 when I was wanting to quit my corporate job. I was literally on the verge of like losing my mind. I was doing this boring tech job as somebody who wanted to do like social media, content, fun stuff, travel, and I was trying to convince myself to stay because it was the safer option. This is what everybody was saying you should do. I was living the American dream. Get your degree, secure yourself a nice salary, make sure you get good benefits, and that's it. You cracked the code to happiness. But after the reality of the shiny salary and the benefits wore off, I was presented with the reality that was imposter syndrome, escapism, resentment for being glued to my laptop, bored out of my mind, and in meetings that could have been an email. And ultimately, I resented the fact that I had no time to do what I really wanted to do, what I enjoyed, which was social media, traveling, content, business, and just having that baseline time and financial freedom that I always craved. Thankfully, I convinced myself that staying at this job was the worst deal I could make with myself, my time, and most importantly, with my life. So I left with no plan, and by the grace of God and some persistence, I was able to escape the 9-to-5 life. Not only that, get into the field that I actually wanted to be in, which was social media marketing, with no prior experience, and triple my income. Yeah, triple it. After 8 full months of taking that seriously, I got to 10K months, which by the way, back in COVID period, this was a lot for me. The world is so much bigger than your 9-to-5, and I know you know that. That's why you're always booking out your PTO to experience it. But if you're feeling held back by the thoughts and fears that rush to your mind anytime you think of doing what you actually want to do, because how would you survive without your steady paycheck? We are going to unblock you. We're gonna change that today. And if you're new here, welcome back to the Behind the Dreams, where I show you the reality of dreaming big. I'm breaking down everything I did to change my life and start living the dream. Start being the content creator I know I've always wanted to be, and start being the entrepreneur and the business owner that I know I'm destined to be. In this particular mini series, we're going to cover exactly the 90-day plan that you can use to quit your job without having to have $1 million in savings and make a new income through freelancing, all before you hand in your resignation letter. This was the plan I wish existed when I quit my job with no plan, because essentially I had to go back and do all of these steps anyway. And it's not just me. Plenty of you guys have said that you guys have found the freedom and the joy that you've been missing quitting your corporate job. And personally, I have a few friends that have had such great success stories leaving their job and starting the thing they actually want to do. So you're going to want to stick around, because in this series, we're going to cover the mindset that you need to take the leap, which is what I argue is the fundamental, most important thing to changing your life, starting up a new career, leaving the traditional path, how you're going to make money through skills that you already have. I mean, there's a reason your job pays you, is because you have skills. All you need to do is transfer that from what you're doing in your job to doing it on your own, and help you build up the momentum you need to leave your job and go towards an untraditional path, especially when the going gets tough and you need to be your own boss. Because I won't sugarcoat it, it's not some easy peasy fix. You will have to put in hard work and persistence to make this happen, but I know you're capable of doing that. I mean, you show up to a job you hate every single day. You can do this for something you actually want, and you can do it for yourself instead. To this day, quitting was the most, I'm talking about literally the most successful thing I've done in my life, and it's allowed me to launch the career and lifestyle I have today, being a full-time creator, being a full-time entrepreneur, and just having control over my schedule. Damn, this is a dream I've had since I was a teenager, and going along this journey has given me the clues and the tips and the mindset I need to create this kind of life for myself. And I know you're not too far from it either, so be sure to follow so you don't miss the next episode, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Now let's talk about content creation. I see a lot of people who want to quit their jobs, or they actually quit their jobs thinking that they're going to be content creators. I think this is something that we need to be very careful about. We know that we live in the world where we have the internet and we have a lot of resources in our fingerprint, and there's a lot of things that you can access. And also content creation is, it's a good thing and a great thing where people actually make money and they have all the time that they have. But I would say that someone needs to be very strict when you think about this. So there's a lot of people who want to be content creators, as much as we watch stuff that are made by content creators. But out of that certain number of people, of content creators who have made it, there's also some who didn't make it. I think you need to be as realistic as possible. That's why I always say I don't want someone to quit a job before they can generate money. If you want to be a content creator, like I said, always start your side hustle part-time, dedicate time, see how it's growing, and it's not going to be an overnight thing. Then once you can see, or you are close to being monetized, make sure that your platforms are monetized before you can quit your job. And you need to know, okay, are you going to be able to negotiate with brand deals? Are you getting brand deals? All those things, you need to have a full picture of what it means to be a content creator, and also are you passionate about, then you can pursue that. Then only after you can see that you have laid all the groundwork, because content creation, there's a lot of people who don't blow up overnight. Some people can spend 2 years making videos, and at the time they're still not monetized, because it's not easy to get monetized being a content creator. Or you can still be a content creator, but based on the content that you make, you're not making enough to support yourself. So it's not easy. It's not easy, that's what I can say. But at the end of the day, it's also a road that a lot of people can consider, but we need to have that realistic aspect and know that you have to work towards that, and it's not going to come overnight. And yeah, I think that's all I can say in terms of content creation. So, talking about remote work, I think that's something that I can talk about, because I currently work from home. The computer that you are seeing here, this is my work computer. Yeah, so basically, this is my workstation. This is where I wake up every day to come and work. What I can say is that it has its advantages and it also has its disadvantages. I won't lie, some days are worse, like what this lady is experiencing. Some days you may cry. You'll never think that someone will make you cry while you're chilling at your house. But I would say that remote work, it's a bit better than office work. You don't have to deal with your boss, and you have a little bit of flexibility, that you have your own time and you have your own space to do your work. It's far better than someone who's going in the office. Obviously, it also has its disadvantages, such as the work hours. Most of the overtime that we work, it's unpaid, and the client will just expect you to finish something, and you find yourself working very, very big hours. And what you need to do is that you need to be very strict, otherwise you're gonna get abused. So remote work, it's good, but it's also not good, because if you don't know something and you want support in the office, you can just go to your colleague and ask. Here you find yourself trying to ping people and you're not even getting information. Some people just give you guidelines and say, read this, this is going to help you. And 90% of the time, from my experience, those things, they don't help. So I think people who work remotely have it better in the corporate world than the people who go to the office. But I don't want to lie, from time to time, I do miss the office. So last week, my laptop had issues. I had to go to the office to work there. I was like, God damn, I thought office was better, but I think I'm fine in my own space. So yeah, I think that's all that I have in terms of the corporate world. And the key point is that always have a backup plan. Don't quit without a backup plan. Upscale your skills and dedicate time to your side hustle, and make sure that your dreams are as realistic as possible so that you can achieve them. Yeah, that's all that I have in store for you, and thank you so much for watching if you've reached this far of the video. And don't forget to leave a like and a comment on your way out, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you.